Hello, today I want to show you how to deploy Spring Boot 3 Angular 16 with Docker on a virtual server. So I have created all the needed Docker files, Docker Compose file, and as always the files are in the repository, so just check that out. It's linked in the description. And what we need to do is to create our images first. Therefore, I have a Docker file for the backend and the frontend application. And we have to build these images from these Docker files and then publish them to our repository so we can use them from any place, anywhere. So maybe we want to use them in a pipeline, or we want to use them as here for deployment on our server. And yeah, as you can see, these Docker files are pretty basic, easy to use, and you can just use them for your Spring Boot application or Angular application, but they're also working for any other front-end application like Vue.js, React, or any Vite application. Then in the end, it's just for the front end copying the build data into the Nginx image to host it. So right now I will build the backend application. It will be very fast because I already built it before. So it's the power of Docker. It's layered. If nothing changed since the last build, it's very fast. If one state changed, it will just doing the change state. Same with our front end. Here the longest part is to build the application. So yeah. Then after you build your images, you can use your Docker login. So you need a repository, and somewhere I just use a Docker hub. So I was already logged in before, so I didn't need to prompt my username and password. And with me logged in now, I can just tag the images, and with these tags I then can publish them to the repository. So just let's run these commands, and now it's already uploading to Docker.io, to my repository there. And these repositories are free as long as you only have one private repository, private image there. So in the meantime, let's create this server where we want to deploy it. In this case, €8 a month, pretty fair, but also cheaper alternatives out there where you can use the smallest version, which is €5 for this. Or DigitalOcean has also servers for $4 a month. That's pretty fair, and you can do whatever you want on these servers. So you have total freedom, and the costs won't get any higher. Yeah. As you see here, that's the Docker.io, the Docker Hub, and the images are there, and we can now use them in our server. So let's just log into the server right now and install Docker on our server. For that, we just need the IP address and the root login. I won't create a user here and create SSH key, because I did this in another video that you can find, where I explain and show in detail how to secure your own server. and how to make it comfortable to join your server. Yeah, as you can see here, I have provided all the explicit configuration for SSH in my README. So if you want to add this, just look it up and it will work. So now let's just run the commands from my README, and with that we should deploy our application or finish deploying our application very soon. The whole process should not take much longer than 10 minutes, so it's a very fast way to deploy an application with Docker. And probably the longest part mostly is to create these Docker images and the Docker Compose YAML, but as you have in here, you have a blueprint for your own Docker files and Docker Compose file. And you also can use ChatGPT, which will make some errors here and there, but probably will give you some kind of help to get the result you want. But it's typical that it messes up something. So now we have installed Docker. We can just try out Hello World now and see if it's running at all. If our installation was successful, as we see it was, hello from Docker. So now we can just create our Docker Compose file on the server and run it, and that should be all that we need to run our application. So let's create the Docker file, Docker Compose file. The image is looking fine. It's from my repository. And now let's just run this file. And let's see what's happening. I could add -d for detached, but I want to see my results in the console. So, but beware if you run it out with attached to the console. If you close the console, all Docker containers will stop running. And now it's fetching the data from my repository and starting the applications. So all applications are created. As you see, the database, the Nginx server, and the front end are starting up. And with that, we can try to enter the URL or the IP into the browser and see if our application is actually reachable from the outside. And it's working. So our application is there. We can now just check if we also can reach our backend. We can try to register a user and try to log in. And that's, I commented out the configuration for HTTPS. If you have some valid certifications, you can set them in there, and then you also have HTTPS. And are your endpoints or your website is secured. So we already got Hello Unsecure World from our backend, so that's running. We register, no feedback, just just a tutorial application. It's not fledged out. We sign in, we are signed in, and we can fetch the secure endpoint now, get our response from Hello Secure World. So everything is working as expected. And with that, we have deployed our application in less than 10 minutes with building the Docker, the images, publishing the images, and then creating the server, installing Docker. So the whole process didn't even take or didn't even took longer than 10 minutes. And now you can use this configuration for running your test systems, or use it in your pipeline or whatever. So have fun with that, try it out on your own. If you have any questions, just ask me. Have a nice day.